Okay, excellent. Because I already pressed play.
I'm ready. Okay, I'm ready. Get the crumbs out of my teeth. Make sure my phone's on silent. If you could see the fucking chaos that is my desk.
Same.
I'm like, Anyways, okay. So not these, I was going to say these episodes, but this is the start of our cognitive errors series.
Yes.
So our 2 episodes, I know that the one is our highest listened to episode, but then
it's up
the
there,
second one is up there. So the episode where we break down what cognitive errors or cognitive distortions are, those are our 2 biggest episodes that a lot of people listen to. So we thought, why not bring to our subscribers breaking down in PS episodes each cognitive error, and then how to cope with it or how to handle it, or just maybe how it's shown up for us too, if it
or
has
even just recognizing it, because I think people don't even realize they can recognize it themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think too, some of them won't fit with you, and that's okay.
Yep.
I still think it's good to hear it though, right? So today we're starting with the number 1. It's just like number 1 on our list. It's not like the most used one, but number 1 is filtering. So filtering is focusing on the negative and ignoring the positive. So one of the CBT workbooks, their worksheets, one of their examples is, I must have done something wrong because my mom looked frustrated when she came home from work. Or I must have done something wrong because the way that my mom said, XYZ in this tone.
I feel like that's personalization.
Oh, it could be.
You know what I'm saying? Where it's like you're assuming that it's your fault.
I feel like there's so much crossing over though.
Well, yeah, because I think this could also easily go into all or nothing, right? So the example that I was thinking too is you only noticed failures and not successes, right? So if you get a review from your boss and you got like a stellar review all up into like one thing where they're like, your documentation is just a little bit off. You're like, fuck it, I'm a piece of shit. I can't do anything right. You know what I'm saying?
And to me, that's filtering of focusing on the negative and ignoring the positive, even if there is a positive there.
Right.
Ouch. I don't know how that example that they give though says.
Because doesn't that sound like personalization to you?
Yeah. So filtering, the example that you gave would be a better example of filtering versus the example that they gave. Books don't know anything. Anyways, so filtering, right? How has this shown up for you? Like literally, it just showed up from us an hour ago when I'm talking. Yeah, like where I like tell stuff and kind of like review how the soccer game goes and like, here are points that we need to focus on. Here are points you did amazing at. All she hears though is those points that it's like, well, I didn't do good enough. Well, and then she tries to to defend herself. And I'm like, honey, you don't need to defend yourself. At no point am I saying that you did bad or that you didn't do good. These are just areas where we need to focus on. So.
And that's where I think the mental filtering can lead into all or nothing, right? I'm only hearing the bad thing. So then that means I'm a terrible soccer player. I'm not good at all. Right. And that's that all or nothing.
And then I can go and I shouldn't be playing.
Exactly. Like they all can like domino effect into each other. And that's why we have to be mindful of them, because if we stay operating these errors, we're going to stay fucking miserable. I'm going to tell you that right now.
Because that's what you're training your brain to see. You're training your brain to only see. So for this example, you're training your brain only to see the negative or something that you did wrong or some area where you weren't showing up or whatever it may be, but you're just focusing on the lack rather than what was presented to you.
I don't know if you do this with Sophie and you pick her up, but every day when I pick up Bug, I say, how was your day? And sometimes he'll start with, it was good. Or he'll be like, oh, at recess, such and such happened and my day was terrible. I'm like, well, was your whole day terrible? Or was it just the 5 minutes at recess where like something kind of crappy happened? Right. Like, let's see the bigger picture here and not allow 5 minutes of your day to make the whole day a terrible day. Right.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. I definitely have that restructuring with Soph too, when she comes in and like, well, and it's like a proud parent moment of like, sometimes when I'm talking to her and she'll be like, well, I don't really like so-and-so. Well, it's not that I don't like them. I was really frustrated by them today because they kept saying, blah, 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 blah. And I don't agree with them. I told them to leave me alone and they didn't. And so like, she can recognize it's starting to come back. So I love that too, because man, it took me, I was like 30 until I realized to be like, bitch, not every day has to be a bad day. So yeah, 100%. I think that is a great example of like being able to help restructure, because it gets so easy to focus on the negative. And now again, in our cognitive errors episodes, we talk about ways to restructure and ways to challenge our thoughts, to challenge that negative thinking. So there's a 7-step process, and we'll talk about it with each entire one. 7-step process. The first one is setting the stage, like, so setting up the, I was going to say setting up the memory. Man, I've been doing a lot of EMDR with clients lately. So setting the stage, what happened? Where were you? Who were you with? What was going on? And then kind of putting that there. The step 2 is, what emotions did you experience? What came up for you? Rate them. We'll come back to the rating at the very end of the exercise, but so rate them in intensity. So like, anxiety 10, fear, 10, sadness 3, panic 1, like whatever showed up for you, and really try to get into it, right? Because a lot of times people will just say like sadness or anger.
Sure.
But really try to get to that root. Was there like shame? Was there embarrassment? Was there, longing? Did you feel alone, abandoned? Like what else was going on? Step 3 then is where you start to come up with, what is that specific automatic negative thought that you're experiencing? Well, so for example, in the filtering episode words, guys, I literally I'm having coffee at 4 p.m. 5 hours of sleep. The example that you gave, Steph, of in the beginning, help me. What was
so like a boss is giving you your annual review,
yes.
right? And you have like stellar reviews for everything, but the one thing is like your documentation could have been better, and then that's all you hear.
Yeah. So I'm a terrible employee, or I'm not good enough, or I'm
can't do my job right.
Right. I'm always going to be lacking. Right. So again, it starts to filter into some of those other cognitive errors as well. But again, we're kind of focusing on filtering. Boss gave some good feedback. Boss gave some criticisms where we need to
make improvements.
Points where we need to make improvement. It's not like they shamed you for it in this example specifically. It's not like they was shamed for it. It was just like, hey, let's focus on this area a little bit more and kind of beef that up. So that's the specific automatic negative thought, right? So now all of these steps are sequential. They're going in order. 4 and 5 is where we kind of break that, and we kind of vacillate back and forth, because we want to make sure that we are focusing on allowing ourselves space to go into the negative thought and also to challenge it.
Sure.
So step 4 is, give me facts that prove that cognitive error, that negative thought, is true. So give me facts that it proves that it's true.
So I would say in this aspect, it might be, for us, we would have supervision. For some people, it might be staff meetings, right? Where maybe in supervision, it's been brought to my attention multiple times that my notes are late, or that I was missing something in my assessment, right? Like that's facts that my documentation is lacking.
Yes.
Yep.
So then we go to step 5. So time, situations, and examples that prove our negative thought isn't true 100% of the time.
There was probably several other instances where I was praised for a very good assessment, or my notes were done before I left for work that day, or, if I was audited for some reason, and during that audit, all my shit was on point, right? Yeah. That's also proof.
Yes, absolutely. So then after looking at both sides, and sometimes there may be a fact or two, but then there's also all of those challenges against of these situations or examples where we have shown up as a great employee, as a stellar employee, as just an employee, maybe not someone who's lacking, but definitely meeting the job requirements. So then step 6 is, we must come up with an alternative thought. We must have more balance due to having both sides have points. And right now that negative thought is just a one-sided argument. So coming to a more balanced thought could be, I am continuously learning in this job. So it's not like in reality, there is always something to be learned in a job, right? There's always, things are always changing and things are always coming about. And if not, then there's, even if it's not like the actual job itself, like it's the supporting things, like for us, right? Like, well, there still is new ways to learn how to be a therapist, because trainings and stuff, but in the sense of like, the way that it ran really wasn't changed, but then it was like, okay, well, like the documentation program software, we're going to change that. But like, there's things that are always going to change. You're not always going to know everything. So we can't sit here and say like, I'm going to know everything. I'm going to be the best employee. Like, what does that even mean? So I continuously learn at my job. I show up every day with intention to complete my tasks. I
was given feedback to make me a stronger therapist.
Yes. Feedback helps me grow as a therapist.
Mm-hmm.
So then we come to step 7, which 7 is rewrite the emotions from step 2. So when we take away the cognitive error, put in our new balance thought, what happens to some of those emotions? So sometimes they go down and sometimes new emotions crop up. Realistically, what we're looking for is like, so say something's like, oh my God, like anxiety was at a 10.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to get you to like a 6. Okay.
Sure.
I'm not trying to get you to a 0. Like you're always going to have some sort of level of emotion, right? You're a human experiencing things on a daily basis. There will always be something that crops up, whether it's good, negative, or, neutral.
Mm-hmm.
The